Welcome to today's jazz guitar lesson. My name's Andy. The question of the day, the theme of the day if you like, is can you feel rhythms reliably? At whatever point you started learning jazz guitar, everything you've done pre that, you may or may have not have got a good handle on being able to play in time or reading, counting rhythms. So I thought I'd do like a basic review of basic rhythms today. And I think one of the absolute fundamental key things that sits behind a competent jazz guitar player is a unconscious synchronization with the beat or the pulse, whatever you want to call it. And in relation to time and rhythm, you need to be able to do two things. You need to be able to play rhythm in time for someone else, so get your chords in time so they can play melodies and solo over the top of that accompaniment. And the second thing is when you're improvising or playing melodies, whatever you're playing has to work out rhythmically to the beat, to the pulse. If it doesn't, if you're slightly out with it, you'll lose your place. If you're playing with other people, they might feel unsure of what to do, whether to wait for you or, stop or just keep going. And it just, the wheels can come off quite easily. So today, let's talk basics about this. Make sure you've got those fundamental skills and I'll show you ways to develop them. First off, let's make sure we understand what we mean by the pulse. Some people refer to this as the beat. I don't think a musical dictionary would necessarily say that, but it seems like interchangeable terms for a lot of people. So beat or pulse. Think of this as a metronome ticking away. It's the steady time of music. You could also think of a second hand on a clock, moving and making noise at regular intervals. And a really important foundation is being able to feel that pulse reliably when you're either listening to music or playing music. How can we go about doing this though? I always think the key to developing good skills is developing good habits, and habit number one would be to always count yourself in. And you'll notice a lot of jazz musicians don't do a 1 bar counting, not just 1, 2, 3, 4 and in. They do 2 bars like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. Just helps you feel the beat, and that 1, 2, that start there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Helps us feel the swing a little bit more. Sometimes that act of doing something physical really helps us get to, like I said, feeling it, which it sounds really vague, feeling the pulse, but it's really what you want in the long term. You don't want her to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time. You just learn to feel it and feel the sense of the timing. So here's a metronome on. I might first try and tap the beat to it with my foot. Maybe move with it. Seems a bit silly. I feel very silly, but it might be something, just to start off with, just to make sure you kind of really can lock in with it. This isn't sponsored or paid promotion or anything. It's just a free app I like to use for metronome. It's called Tempo. It's on Apple and Android, and the free version is more than adequate for what we need. And one of the cool things on it, you've got the visual display of the beats, which might be easier for some of you than this, which, although obviously makes the sound of the beat, this digital one I really like because we can see the beat as well, which sometimes is very helpful. It's also accenting the first beat of each bar. So playing to a metronome is a given. That's going to be something that's going to really help you develop your timing. I like this one too because if I tap on the beats, I can grey them out, and this time it will just tap on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a cool test of our timing, making sure we can feel those other 3 beats. To begin with, it's something we have to work out very actively, very consciously. Eventually, it becomes something that's unthought. A very simple exercise you can do as well is simply whenever you're listening to music is try and work out where that beat is, whether you listen to music in the car, tap it out on the steering wheel, or music on an advert. Just try and see if you can feel where that beat is. And obviously sometimes you're encountering music that doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4. You might encounter a waltz, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or other variations of how many beats there are in a bar. I think the big one there at the top of my list was always count yourself in, and if you make that as a habit, you'll really force yourself to start to think about where that beat is when you're playing or when you're playing along to something. Once we can find that pulse, once we can reliably feel it, and like I say, when we're either listening to music or playing music, we need to be able to put different rhythms to that pulse. And I'd start with the following things. The quarter note looks like this, and in the most common time signature, which is how many beats there are in a bar, we can fit 4 of them in a bar. Now with these exercises I'm about to show you, try and play along. I'm going to give you a good enough count in, so try and do it with me. I've got the metronome set to 80 BPM. It's accenting the first beat of each bar. That's important. Beat 1 is so important to never lose sight of, so it's good to feel that a bit stronger. Now I'm going to do that important habit of counting in 2 bars before I start. I've got the note A here. You could pick any note or a chord, doesn't matter. And I'm going to try and play in time with it. I'm going to feel that beat first. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the metronome. I've got it on my knee and I can see those beats. Now the second line on that sheet includes what's called a rest, which is a symbol instructing us not to play. And if you see this symbol, this is telling us not to play for the length of a quarter note. So if you look at the example across the screen, in the first bar, you don't play on beat 1, so you play on 2, 3, 4. In the second bar, you don't play beat 2. In the third bar, beat 3, and finally beat 4 in the final bar. So let me try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm stopping the guitar by just releasing the pressure from the fretboard but not the string, which will silence the string for the rests. The next note we'll look at looks like this. It's called a half note. This lasts for 2 beats, so we can fit 2 of them in a bar. Look at this example on the screen. We can fit 2 of these notes in the bar, so they last for 2 beats. So if you look 1, 2, and then 3, 4. If you look in the third bar though, there's that little symbol there, like a funny little moustache, and it's on top of the line, just see there, because there's another one similar to it you'll see in a bit. And that is the rest for 2 beats. So when we've got that symbol, I've got to be silent for 2 beats. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done 1 beat notes, we've done 2 beat notes, and of course we need to look at 3 beat notes. The 3 beat note looks like this. It looks the same as the 2 beat note, the half note, but it's got a dot after it, and we call it a dotted half note. So here's the example on the screen we're going to look at, and we've got, there, look on the first bar, the note lasting 3 beats. Then in the second bar, I put it on beat 2 because it's got to add up to 4. And then in bar 3, there is the 3 beat rest. It's the same as a 2 beat rest, but it's got the dot after it. And as you see in bar 4, we position that 3 beat rest on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now gaps when you're not playing is a time where it's really easy to go out of time, so it's really important you pay as much attention to the rest as you do when you're playing. We also have 4 beat rests. They look like this, and now it looks exactly the same as the 2 beat rest, but it's hanging from the line rather than sitting on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next rhythm, and if you look at it on the screen here, is the 8th note. Now, one of these on their own looks like this, but when you put multiple ones together, they get grouped together in groups of 4 and look like this. Now, they are individually worth half a beat, which is why we can fit 8 in a bar, because 2 of them add up to 1 beat, and we need to make up 4 beats. So we can go 8 of them in a bar of 4, 4. And we count them 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This rhythm is critical for playing jazz because they can be swung. Now, there's a difference here between straight 8th notes and swung 8th notes. Straight 8th notes are completely even. If I was to count them against my metronome, it would be like this. Straight 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Whereas the swing, the second 8th note comes a bit later. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, I think if you're kind of new to getting used to reading rhythms and really working on your timing, make sure you can do the straight ones first. Maybe I'll make another video about swung 8ths. So we just want to evenly distribute them amongst the bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just being able to do that first off, that's important. In the right hand, I would go down, up here. So we're doing down where it says 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime it says and, we're doing an up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You might have to slow that down at first to play that. You can also set that metronome so that it actually sounds the 8th note rhythm. Maybe okay to start with, but you wouldn't want to do that in the long run. So what we need to learn next to do is switch between some of these different rhythms. You're not going to get too many songs which just has the same rhythm all the way throughout. It's going to be dull if that's the case. So let's learn to switch between quarter notes and eighth notes. Look at this example on the screen and you'll see it goes from a bar of quarter notes to a bar of eighth notes and does the same thing again. I liken this, it's like changing gear in the car. You're going double the speed effectively here. So look, if I play this, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's about, when you go to those eighth notes, you're still feeling that steady pulse, but you're able to put that second note in each bar in. Here's some other combinations you could try. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, I really like this exercise. Obviously, I've left the hardest till last. It's the taking away exercise where we start with a full bar of eighth notes and then in each bar we're going to take one away. So gradually we're left with just one note. Now here's what the eighth note rest looks like. And you'll see it gets progressively less notes in the bar. So I'll just play this through for you. Here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and missed my last note. Oh, I was running out of breath there. Sorry, I did miss the last note. That should have been 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Forgive me. I was just thinking about how I'm running out of breath. Anyway, those are some examples, some activities for you to do. It obviously isn't exhaustive. It's not including every rhythm. It's not including every rest. It's maybe just a place to start for you. Start with that first stage though. You've really got to feel that beat. For that last exercise to work, you've not only got to feel the beat, you've got to feel coming in halfway through the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and being able to come in on the and of any beat, which is what that last exercise will help you with. Payoff for our guitar playing, better timing when we're soloing. We can be more creative with rhythm, because if you think about improvising, there's many facets to it, but if you to narrow it down to two things, you'd say it's choosing notes and putting rhythms to them. So that's something very important to have as a part of our skill set. Now you can practice all of these things as isolated rhythmic exercises. Just one thing first off, like I said earlier, you don't need an instrument to practice this. If you find this difficult, the instrument's just an added complication at this stage. Just get used to being able to tap it first maybe and then try it on your instrument. Obviously working with a metronome is going to be a very important thing here. You can also maybe work to a backing track or even with a real song playing along. If you really focus in on this skill and you really master it, that's one of the really fundamental skills sorted. Not to say we don't continue to practice it, because we will through the music we play, but if you really get a handle on it, it's just one less thing to worry about and you can grow in the other ways from there then. Another video you might want to check out in relation to this is my video on about using metronomes, so I'll put that up on the screen. If you've got any questions or suggestions on how to work on time yourself, then you leave them below. Jazz Guitar Lessons every Wednesday and Saturday. Until next time, you take care.